Hi, it's me, and that's him. And we're the Sci-Fi Scholars.
And we are talking Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
So the opening scene for this movie is great, with Baby Groot just mucking around, while the rest of the Guardians actually...
are taking on some tentacled monster of some sort. And it's just really cool how they did it. I was a little bit annoyed at one point, though. They had the opportunity to make it this really cool, just one single shot.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Drax was in the scene and you hate Drax.
Because
you're going with that the whole way. Although you seem to have a problem with him talking, not just him interacting with people.
No, I don't mind him interacting. Him
fighting's okay.
Him fighting and stuff like that, not so worried. Just as soon as he opens his mouth, I find him very frustrating.
That's what I thought you were going to say. But you were saying that you wanted.
No, I'm talking from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
It was just this continuous shot where they just followed Groot, or Groot followed the camera. I actually found it quite enjoyable. I was just like, I didn't expect to like Baby Groot, to be perfectly honest, but I did, particularly in this scene and the way this scene was shot. But there was just one moment where it was almost like they went, "Oh crap! Oh, we'll just put a cut in there." And there was like, they did this whole opening thing where there wasn't many cuts, or if many cuts, and there was just, at least there was one moment where I was just like, "Oh, this is long continuous." Can't remember if the whole thing was long continuous, but there was a bit, at least in the middle, towards about 3/4 length, where there was just this really obvious distractingness cut. I think they could have, because it's mostly CG in that shot anyway.
What?
Baby Groot's not real.
They don't have ants and tiny dinosaurs.
But they could have done this, like, it could have done a full-on thing until it came back to the start and then opened up onto the... And then you can cut away like you normally do. But, yeah, that to me was just a moment of like, oh... But anyway.
I liked how Groot was screwing those little dinosaur guys. That was hilarious.
I did, yeah, that opening scene was really, really fun. They used the music quite well in that, I thought.
Yep. And
then I just liked how there was this massive fight going in the background and you don't see much of it.
Yeah. It was... And then, obviously, they do cut back to trying to fight.
Yeah. Which I thought was a good move too. I was half expecting, and I probably would have liked it as well, if they just defeated him in the background.
That would have been cool.
But I don't think they would have been able to get away with that. Most people would have been felt shortchanged, I think, if you didn't get to see them actually defeat him and working as a team.
I guess if they wanted to do it like that, they could have framed some of the shots differently, so you see some of the fighting slightly out of focus behind Groot.
Well, you did.
But I mean, more of that rather than with Groot messing around and the giant tentacle coming down and almost slashing him. If because obviously they were on a rather large platform, they could have done.
Yeah.
But
it didn't matter because either way, the way they went about it, I actually quite enjoyed and thought they did a good job of.
And then Drax's whole thing, it's too hard to cut from the outside. I'll go inside and cut, and then everyone else is like, "But it's the same thickness, you idiot." Which doesn't quite work, because that's not actually the way armored things work. If you have a hard outer shell with padding behind it, make it very hard to cut into, but you can cut through the padding slowly and then...
Yeah.
Which would be okay. And then also Gamora was like, "I'm going to use a gun for this fight," and then uses her blades to actually win, so that was just silly as well.
Well, I think the point with that was... I don't know what the point of that was.
They found a weak spot, so she was going to take out the weak spot, and then she used her...
I don't think she could get a shot, if I remember. It doesn't matter.
But I thought it was a bit silly.
Yeah, but it did have a cool line, though, from Star-Lord. It's like, "Oh, you're doing guns now too? I thought swords were your thing, guns were my thing." And okay, we're both doing guns, so we're both doing guns are both our things now. It's just good to know.
Which is actually different from the scene that they put in the trailers. It's almost the same.
Oh, really?
But it's not quite. In the trailer, she goes "Don't you recognise what a gun looks like?" or something like that, and he's like, "Well, of course I know what a rifle looks like. I just thought guns were my thing." And
so they changed it to...
So I think that maybe they cut a little bit of the dialogue to make it slightly shorter, that scene.
Which does happen a lot.
But because I'd seen part of the trailer, and I'd seen that part of the trailer, and I was like, I thought I knew what was going to be said, and then it was different. I'm like, "Oh, that's really good," but that's actually not... it's spoiled, but not spoiled by the trailer.
That's what I hate about trailers.
So by doing it a bit differently, I was very happy.
Yeah. I don't like trailers because then that's the sort of thing that happens, and then you like some scenes are completely missing from the movie that you saw in the trailer, and that might have been the thing that made you go see the movie, and then it's like, what the heck? Anyway, that's another story. No, it's not, but that's another. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up about that.
So anyway, so in that mission, they're working for
the Sovereign,
which
the gold people.
Rocket has been told are stuck up pricks, and he admits to them that he knows they're stuck up pricks, and then decides to rob them anyway.
Yeah. Which they later go on about in story mode, and apologies for people that don't want to be spoiled if we're going to talk now, but anyway, it kind of then goes, they kind of use that as a jumping off point for the whole flipping Rocket's insecurities about not having anyone or not trusting anyone and all that sort of stuff, which is why him and Star-Lord are so at each other's throats all the time.
And also how Yondu gets through to Rocket later in the movie for a major plot device.
Those scenes with Yondu and Rocket later on, brilliant. I loved all of them. When they're, particularly when they first get
arrested.
When they're in with what's his face?
Groot.
No,
Taserface. What's his face? No, Taserface.
Now he's tied to the chair and he just Rocket's
like just tied there, can't do anything, but still giving so much lip to Taserface.
I loved that. And then the scene after that where they're locked up together and they get all that with Rocket and Yondu is really, really good.
Yep.
I really, really enjoyed that. And then I thought, this continuing on the Rocket sort of theme, at the end when Gamora's like, no, I'm going to go save him, and Rocket's like, psh. He's like, we're only going to lose one friend today and not losing another. Yeah. That moment I was just like, yeah. Like that's a moment in the movie where I was just like...
Although technically he loses two. He thought he was losing Star-Lord and was saying only going to lose one, but he loses Yondu and Star-Lord. Like, he doesn't... at that point, he thinks he's going to lose.
Well, I think... Because he gave one rocket and one spacesuit, he knew that one of them was not going to survive.
Yeah, but he didn't know which one, or if either.
Yes, but to him it was, I'm definitely losing one.
Yeah.
I'm not letting Gamora go on when I'm not going to lose another. He didn't know whether it was going to be Yondu or Star-Lord, because from his perspective it was Yondu's going to try and stay Star-Lord, but Star-Lord might be already gone. So he's given him a suit anyway, so Yondu can get out if he needs to. But he was like, one of them's going to die, and he doesn't know which one.
Yep.
And I just thought that was really cool, rather than having this stupid scene of Gamora being all like, no. I really liked, he just turns around and shoots her. But then, rather than being a wise ass and being that smart ass that he's been out in the entire movie, you then get this really tender moment of him just going, no way.
Yeah.
And I really, really liked that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in the next one to see how they deal with Rocket, because a lot of movies would revert him to his just silly matureness and just at one's throats again, whereas it'd be better if they
could still do that. Like,
some of it's him being fun, but some of it should be developed as in he's more secure.
It come from a different place. It still could be very similar type comments and same type of humor, but it needs to come from, like, be evident that it's coming from a different place. It's no longer at each other's throats because they hate each other. It's just disagreeing on something and not necessarily fighting, but just making fun of each other, like in a different... So Star-Lord
and
then...
try and redo the... Now he's opening up to people again. Which a lot of intellectual property does, like movies, TV shows, they just redo the same thing over and over, which is very annoying. It's like, we've already had this scene last season and the season before that.
And keeping on Rocket, I think Rocket's clearly one of our favourites.
Yeah.
I love the whole fight with him and Star-Lord again. Yeah. I really like Star-Lord as well.
Star-Lord is the main character of this. It is like... Who is Star-Lord's dad? What is Star-Lord's dad doing?
It's all about that. That's not even the thing I probably liked the most about the movie. I just liked a lot of the interactions with Rocket and then with Star-Lord. And then when they're flying the ship through the
two of them just fighting over it.
Constantly trying to... and then Gamora at the end's just like, either one of you could have got us through that unscathed. It didn't have to be one. Like
Yeah, either of you could do it. We both know either of you could do it.
you
So
just
the
screwed
two-
our ship up for no fucking reason.
Yeah, and that's the rebuilt ship because they'd already damaged it in the first movie.
Not nearly as badly as they damaged in this one, though.
True, but
But yeah, I really liked all that side of it.
and Rocket's. I loved after, at the very end, how Rocket was like, "So now we're 2-time galaxy savers. We met yards tons." So like they're the guardians of the galaxy. They're more like mercenaries in the galaxy. And then so they did that, and they also resolved Star-Lord and Yondu's like interaction.
Yeah, and how at the end he finally realised that Yondu was kind of a father to him.
Yep.
Which I liked as well, because I really liked Yondu's character, and I liked the way that they did. Massive spoiler now. Kill him off.
Yep.
And the way that they killed him off, I thought that's actually really, really good. You had all these moments with Rocket, and then you get this, and then it all makes sense.
And it culminates in the sacrifice of the father for the son.
Yeah.
But the other thing I thought was really funny and clever with what they did, they had a thing where they're talking with Star-Lord as about why Yondu kept him around. He's like, they were small and I could get into spaces I couldn't to steal things. And then you have this deepish moment with Rocket and Yondu. Because then Star-Lord explains it to his father, like Ego, and then Rocket is talking to Yondu about it, and he's like, so why did you keep him around? And it's exactly the same lines.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure if it's obviously from a different perspective, but it's like basically word for word,
Yeah.
because Yondu did keep him around for that reason and was honest to Star-Lord to a point about it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was also the second reason of, like, yes, you were useful, but I also knew if I didn't, you were going to die. You were probably going to die, and I didn't want.
Because he
that.
didn't realise he'd found out what Ego was doing to all the people that he had.
Yeah, delivered all these other children.
Yeah. It's a little creepy.
Which also I don't understand, right? So Yondu is the planet, and he's got a graveyard of his children's bones inside of himself.
Yeah, essentially.
Why didn't they deteriorate? Like, they died, but the bones were still there, and then they just...
Yeah, I think that was more of a visual thing for us as a...
Yeah.
It was more of a... Oh, there's more than meets the eye. He's killed lots of people, and we'd have no idea how long he's been doing it. But it seems to me that it shouldn't be that many bones all around the same decomposedness. Like they should have been at different...
Although, you don't actually know how long Yondu was working for Ego collecting the kids either, so...
Well, theoretically...
Millennia, but...
No, I mean, like, as we know for at least probably 20 years, because he was sent to pick up Star-Lord.
Yeah, but Star-Lord was the last kid he picked up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he picked him up, and then on the way to dropping him off, figured it out and decided not to.
So then you just got to figure out how long between that point and the previous point where you started picking the kids up. But it was a bit complicated.
Yeah, we don't need to really figure that out. We're thinking a bit too deep, I think.
And I guess they would have ruined all the other plot points of Gamora and Nebula figuring out what had happened. And like...
And speaking of those two, I did enjoy their storyline mostly. Mainly because I really liked Nebula. I thought she was a cool character in this movie. Although it was a little bit stupid in how much she missed while she was trying to shoot Gamora when she was in the ship. I was like, holy crap, do you want to fire enough bullets and still not hit her?
Well, it's the good old Stormtrooper solution.
I'm pretty certain I said to someone, I think it might have been whoever, wasn't you, was it? No, so it was the other one. I said, Stormtrooper much? And then I was like, well, actually, I think she's worse than a Stormtrooper.
Yeah, she must be an Imperial Guard.
Anyway, I mean, obviously it doesn't really make sense, but in the end, she doesn't actually want to kill her.
Yeah.
But it was still so frustrating to watch.
They should have added, like, less shots or something.
Yeah.
Especially because then Gamora picks up the gun and walks back and shoots accurately.
I know, that's what really annoyed me.
Like, if it has been a gun that's terribly inaccurate, which is like, if you've got two spaceships that are both reasonably large,
It doesn't have to be
and are
pinpoint
very
accuracy.
and are close in combat, they don't need to be accurate. If it's a long range one, it needs to be super accurate. So
Anyway, that was just some point where I was just like, ugh. But I did like the resolvedness or
resolution.
yeah, whatever the word is, of their relationship a little bit more. I liked Gamora in this one a lot more than I did in the first one, but I still wasn't a huge fan of hers. I think she's miscast, but and I don't even want to get started about Drax yet. And the love story between her and
Star-Lord. Not your thing.
I just don't like it. It feels forced. It doesn't feel like it was earned in any way.
It was all the missions between episode 1 or volume 1 and 2, which happened over not very long because Groot hasn't grown much.
Where that's another.
And then in like the, I guess, mid/post part of the credits scene where Groot's suddenly a teenager, like, yes, it's cool seeing him as a teenager. Yes, it's cool seeing Star-Lord dealing with now being a dad, but the time scale between one and two,
and then the end credit. How does that play out in the context of the Marvel Universe as well now? Like, because
if they had at some point found some way to
does that mean it
give
took
Groot hyper growth serum of some description or something, that would have been fine.
Well, they may explain that away.
Maybe
We don't know yet. I that was annoying because you're like, well, he was about this big, then he was about this big. So end of volume 1, he was like a little plant, and then in start of volume 2, he's probably about that big because they hold him about there. And I was just like, okay, so we still have no context of what time frame that is. Clearly, though, they've had some missions in between.
Yep.
Before they start their Sovereign mission at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
There's clearly been at least 1 or 2 in between. I think there's more, but we don't know because they haven't been told. And then, does that mean that Nebula's, like, is it years or is it only a couple of weeks?
Yeah, it could be a whole range.
Because Nebula's going after freaking Thanos. So, does that mean she never finds him because we then see Groot when he's older? And I think we're overanalyzing a post-credit scene that's just meant to be funny.
But it was, for me, it was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, wow, that's really annoying. So that's how I felt about it.
Hopefully they give us some context the next time we see him.
Or it's even just before that, and you just know it's coming the whole time. Because you could start it. I guess you could, which would also be a bit silly, but
yeah, because then you know they're both going to survive.
But they're the main characters.
True, but I'm pretty certain the Guardians are in the next Avengers movie, at least the second part.
Yeah, part of Infinity War.
They're either in 3 or 4. Yeah, it's 3 and 4, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain they're in. Yeah, and Volume 3 is definitely coming because James Gunn, the director, I think that's his name.
Well, they're talking about.
He's coming back as writer's director for Volume 3,
Well, I know,
which is a first for the Marvel Universe.
What, getting the same director back?
For a third movie.
Okay.
Because Joss Whedon, Avengers 2. And then you have the Russo brothers, but they did 2 and 3 of Captain America, but then they moved on to Avengers, so technically it's not in the same series of movies, but
But Avengers is Also, I liked
Civil War is an Avengers movie, so technically.
Also, I really liked the whole tying Stan Lee's fan fiction of being like involved with the Watchers to actually now legitimately, yes, he is
essentially
interacting with the
Watchers. I think he's the Watchers informant or something like that, and he alludes to it.
I think he's more like, you know, that guy who's like at all your events who just keeps talking about his past and annoying them.
But I'm pretty certain Kevin Feige said something about, I think that's his name. Anyway, the head of Marvel's movie university thingy that goes on, has pretty much confirmed that Stanley effectively is playing the same character in every movie, and that's because he references in this when he's talking to the Watchers a different when he was a pizza guy, I think he says.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that they're making it legit.
Yeah, which is a nice way to tie all the like cameos he's had together and give homage back to some of their other intellectual properties and just like it felt really good. Like it was a quite small, insignificant scene, but it was nice. It was a pleasant...
Well, it was there twice.
Yeah,
they had it in post credits as well as in the middle of it. I think they went for the record for how many post or mid credit scenes they could jam in there.
Yeah, it was still fun though.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. Like, cause they're all quite enjoyable. Now that I remember them all now, doesn't matter.
There was obviously there was the Stanley one, and there was the group one,
and there's at least 2 others that I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I'm sure they'll come back.
Anyway,
doesn't matter. Point being, and we didn't even really. I'm about done, but we haven't even really talked about Ego.
He was a bit annoying.
I really liked Kurt Russell. Thought he was perfectly cast.
I just didn't like the whole Star-Lord can use Ego's power while which he has some power. Like for me, it was just a weird concept. He can kind of control his dad, but couldn't control his dad, and his dad needed his power as well. But then he doesn't have any power without his dad being there as well, and
because the planet is his power, but he is the planet.
Yeah, so it was a bit.
Because when he explains
trippy.
It to Star-Lord, he explains it in his human form, which at this stage we don't know, or well, some of us did, but Star-Lord and the Guardians didn't know that he was the planet.
Yeah.
So he was. So the way he explains it is if the planet is not him, but then we find out the planet is him. So him explaining that he has to come back to the planet to regenerate his powers is not a lie, because he has to, as is that human form, has to come back because he's essentially being separated from him and then needs to come back to get his powers.
Although I'm guessing when he visited other planets that weren't Earth, he was not looking that human.
Well, they allude to it.
He claims he is, but I reckon that's also a lie, because he lied about a whole pile of stuff throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's true. Or he didn't. He didn't essentially lie in any of those bits. He just didn't continue on and explain everything. Because if you actually, he actually goes back and they replay those little claymation-looking thingies, and it's the same. But then there's this whole extra section which adds the revolution to the truth and what he actually was doing.
Also, I didn't like. Obviously, they showed a couple of the planets that he was expanding onto. The way they did
blob
that
CGI,
I disliked.
That was a blob.
It
was terrible.
I'm sure that there was not possibly another easy additional way of doing it.
No, but
I didn't like it.
Still stupid. Anyway.
So
overall, I did enjoy this more than actually the first one. And there's lots I don't like about the first one, which we may do a video about in the future.
So Drax.
There's more than that. I'm steering clear of Drax in this one, because I know when we do the volume 1, I'm probably going to go on and on about it.
It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Everything you hate about Drax.
What I did like about this movie is
there was less of him.
There was less of him in the second half. The first half there was too much of him, and I was starting to not like it. The second half he wasn't as much in there, and he wasn't as much of his obnoxious, stupidly acted person later on. Yeah. So there was moments that I did like of Drax in the second half because they were much more subtle.
Yeah.
It wasn't slapping on the face with him, which is what I felt like in the first half. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to go on about it, so I'm not.
So overall, lots of fun. Like the first one was lots of fun and lots of silliness. This is all to the same. It's a very light-hearted superhero movie as a whole. It does have a couple dark points, but
I love Chris Pratt.
It's just a lot of fun, a lot of great graphics, minus the blob.
Yeah, most of it was alright.
And yeah, good film.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
See you next time.